بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Good morning to all of you. Today we are having a midterm revision class. This is a revision class, so today's class there would not be a homework. The homework would be only the learning. The chapter which is included in the midterm examination, there will be one or two classes, and the first class of revision is today. And in this right now we are going to revise chapter number 2, microorganisms, friends and foe. Microorganism, when we talk about microorganism, micro means very small and organism means living thing. Means very small living things which we cannot see with our naked eye. So the question is how we can see. We use microscope to see these organisms. These are so minute, so small that we cannot see them with our naked eye. Although they are present everywhere, they are present in the air, they are present in the soil, they are present in the water. They are present even in the empty boxes, empty cupboards or empty rooms. Everywhere they are present. They are present on the bodies of the other living organisms. Even they are present inside the body of other living organisms like plants and animal and human beings. They are present. There are a lot of numbers of microorganisms, but in this book few organisms are mentioned and we will discuss them within a short time period. So let's start. The microorganism. The study of the microorganisms is called microbiology, and we are going to discuss the organisms: bacteria, viruses, algae, fungi and protozoans. These are few organisms. These are the examples of few organisms which we will discuss today. As regarding the habitat, we have discussed that they are present everywhere. Everywhere means soil, air, water. So first of them, the microorganism which we discussed first is bacteria. The shape of the bacteria, I'm going to show you a diagram. These are different types of bacteria as regarding their shape, and the bacterial structure is this one. This diagram is very important, so learn all the labelings of this diagram and also learn the name of these diagram, because these are very important regarding the bacteria. As the structure of the bacteria concerned, there is no nucleus. This is chromosomes, DNA. DNA is present, but nucleus is not, means true nucleus is not present. There is a cell membrane and there is a cell wall as well, and DNA is present scattered in the cytoplasm. This is cytoplasm, and one more thing is that they have flagella. Flagella help in movement, and there are few ribosomes or like something. So this is the structure of the bacteria. So as concerned with the habitat of bacteria, they found everywhere in the air, in water and in hot water spring, in soil and even inside the body of the living organism. Means they can enter into the living organism and they live inside the body, also the outside the body and inside the body they are present. As regarding their size is very smaller, which is mentioned that 1.25 micrometer. This is the size of the bacteria, and their size varies because there are a lot of bacteria. As regarding their shape, as I have shown you the three shapes of the bacteria: bacilli, cocci and spirilla. These are the three shapes of bacteria. I'm sorry. Rod shaped bacilli, they look like rods, okay, and without flagella. They are without flagella, as the flagella are the organs which help them to move, and they are without flagella. And oval shape spherical cocci meaning berry, and the examples, few examples are mentioned in your book. And the third type is spiral or comma shaped. Spiral or comma shaped bacteria, they are also called Vibrio, and example is Vibrio and Tryponema, and there is another example of bacteria, and you will just learn the three types of bacteria regarding their shape, and these are rod shaped and oval or spherical cocci and spiral or comma shape. These three shapes you will learn, and you should know how to recognize their shapes. And structure of bacteria, we have discussed the structure of bacteria, that they have cell wall, and they have flagella which help them for the movement. Now, how they get the nutritions? From where they get nutrition? What is the mode of nutrition? And here are the bacteria are there are a lot of mode of nutrition. Some bacteria are autotrophic bacteria. Autotrophic bacteria, autotrophic means the organism which can prepare their own food. They are called autotrophic bacteria. So few bacteria can prepare their own food, and they synthesize their food by themselves. Heterotrophic bacteria. Heterotrophic is the opposite of autotrophic. They cannot prepare their own food. They get the food from the other living organisms or from the dead matter. So saprophytic, heterotrophic, they have the other two types. Means if they are autotrophic, they prepare their own food. If they are heterotrophic, they will have two groups, because heterotrophics depend on, sometime they are getting food from the living organism, and sometime they are getting food from the dead organic matter. If they are getting food from the living organism matter, they live on the bodies or inside the bodies of the other living organism, and they are getting nutrition from their body, so they will be called as parasitic bacteria. Means parasites are the organisms or the type of bacteria which are getting food from the other living organisms, and saprophytic bacteria are the bacteria, they are getting food from the dead organic matter. So this is the difference between the saprophytic and parasitic. So next is how they grow and reproduce, because reproduction is the necessary process for the living organism, because reproduction keep them survive, and it increases their races. So reproduction, they reproduce by binary fission. Binary fission is a process in which one bacteria divided into two. When they get the proper environment, when they get the ideal environment, they just divide into two, and the two is divided into four. So in this way they reproduce. They reproduce by binary fission, and sometimes they make a cyst around them, and this cyst keep them alive. When they get the proper environment, then they divide into two. So if the environment is not proper or ideal, they make the cyst around them, and this cyst save their bodies. And when the ideal situation they get, they divide into two. Bacteria. Bacteria are useful as well as harmful. And some bacteria which are useful, the bacteria have a different uses in our daily life. First use is they change milk into curd and yogurt. Okay, so these bacteria changes the milk into yogurt. These are not harmful but useful bacteria. So it doesn't mean that all the microorganisms are harmful. All the microorganisms are not harmful. Some are useful as well. Okay, so here we are going to discuss about what are the uses of bacteria. So the first use is that they change milk into curd or yogurt. For example, if we take a cup of yogurt, it carry a millions of bacteria in itself, because bacteria are responsible for changing the milk into curd. So it is the first use of bacteria. The other uses of bacteria are that some bacteria break down the cellulose. Cellulose is a material which is present around the cells of plants. So cellulose is cannot be digested, but in the animal's body, bacteria break down the cellulose and they help in digestion in different animals. The other use is nitrogen fixing bacteria. Bacteria sometimes are present with the roots of legume plants, and they change the nitrogen into nitrates, and these nitrates are useful for the growth and development of the plant, because although nitrogen is present in the air, the percentage of the nitrogen is 78%, but plants and animals, they cannot get nitrogen directly from the air. This is dissolved into the rainwater, it goes down, and this nitrogen is changed into nitrates by the bacteria, and then it is useful, and then it entered into the bodies of the plant, and when we use, the other animal use these plants, this nitrogen transferred into our body and the other animal's body, because nitrogen is also necessary for our body. So they are playing a vital role to change the nitrogen into nitrates, and they are entering into the body of the plants, hence they are working as a nitrogen fixing bacteria. So next is that they increase the fertility of the soil. As they change the nitrogen into nitrates, and these nitrates increase the fertility of the soil. And the other use of bacteria is that they decompose the dead organic matter. All the plants which are dead, all the leaves which are shed from the plants, all the roots, and all the other living organisms, even the bodies of the animals and plants, they are broken down into smaller and smaller pieces. Even they are changed into the constituent elements, and these elements are necessary. These elements are necessary for the growth of the plant, and in this way they increase the fertility of the soil. Next is that they are used in the medicines. Different bacteria are used as the antibiotics. Antibiotics are the drugs which are used against the diseases caused by bacteria, and these are produced by the bacteria. So different vaccinations and in different medicines the bacteria are used. So in this way bacteria are useful in many ways. And harmful bacteria, there are also all the pathogens. Pathogens are the microorganisms or the bacteria which can cause diseases. There are a lot of diseases which can be caused by the bacteria, and these are mentioned at the page number 17. Harmful bacteria, you people will read that what are the diseases caused by bacteria, because it's a lengthy chapter and we will have to discuss a lot of other things. So I'm not going to tell you about the diseases, but they can cause different diseases and they spoil the different things. Next is viruses. Viruses are not considered as living organisms. They are non-living when they are outside the body, because they do not behave properly like the living organisms. They look like just the crystals of the sugar, and like crystals of the sugar they are non-living. Likewise they behave when they are outside the body, but when they entered into the body they just occupy the cells and tissues of the living organisms, and when these cells are divided and redivided, these viruses divide and redivide. Although they do not need any nutrition when they are outside the body, because they look like non-living things, because organism is only used for the living things when they are outside the body. But when they entered into the body, they get the food from the host. And viruses are never useful. They are always harmful. They are pathogens. So bacteria are useful, but viruses are always harmful, and they cause a lot of damages. They cause a lot of diseases in the host body. Host body is the body where they have entered into. They can cause the diseases into plants. They can cause the diseases even into animals and human beings. And in human beings and animals, they are causing a lot of diseases. And these are called viral diseases because they are caused by viruses. At page number 17, there is a structure of virus. Virus is not a true cell, and there is no cell membrane or cell wall. Only a protein coat is present, and nucleic is a DNA. DNA is present inside, and it is coated by a protein. So the structure of the virus you can see. Habitat, they are found everywhere. Everywhere means air, water, soil, even in the living things. And structure, we have discussed the structure. They have DNA and protein coat, and they have a tail fiber as well. See the picture and also learn the labeling of this picture. It is important picture. So structure we have discussed. Nutrition, we have discussed that they do not need nutrition, but when they enter into the body, they get the nutrition from the host body. Growth and reproduction, they only reproduce when they entered into the body. Out of the body they do not reproduce. Even they do not reproduce, but they divide and redivide when the cells of the body divide and redivide. Harmful viruses, they are always harmful. They create a lot of diseases like AIDS, like poliomyelitis, measles, common cold, and a lot of other diseases which are caused by viruses. Next is algae. Algae is a autotrophic organism. They can prepare their own food. They have chlorophyll and they can prepare their own food. The examples of the algae are given. Chlamydomonas, Nostics, Spirogyra and Volvox. These are the 4 examples of algae, and their habitat is that they live in the moist places and they are present on the rocks, they are present on the barks of the trees and ditches, lakes, ponds and stagnant water. The water which is not running, this is called stagnant water. They are present in the pools and stagnant waters. And their structure is shown in your book at page number 18. See the structure of different algae. And nutrition, they can prepare their own food because they have chlorophyll. They behave like plants and they have chlorophylls and green color pigment, so they can prepare their own food. And next is reproduction, how they reproduce. They reproduce by the binary fission, means splitting one into two. So they divide by the binary fission. How they are useful? Useful, they are the main source of food for the other living organisms, and they are the rich source of many minerals and proteins. And some of the algae such as seaweeds are used as a food of the other aquatic animals, and some algae are harmful as well. Harmful algae, they pollute, sometimes they pollute the water because most of the time they are present in the water and they make the water which is unfit for drinking. So in this way they can cause they can cause different diseases. So they are useful as well as harmful. Next is fungi. Fungi are also the microorganisms, and sometimes they are unicellular and sometimes they are multicellular. Unicellular means composed of single cell, and multicellular composed of two or more than two or a lot of other cells. So like mushrooms, we can see mushroom is also a kind of fungi, and some fungi are micro and some are unicellular, some are multicellular, and their habitat is that they are present in the dark moist places. Whenever they get they produce spores, and when these spores get the proper environment, proper moist, proper darkness, so they just grow on the substrate. Substrate is a organism or a place where they grow. Like you have seen a bread mold on the bread, you have seen a fungi on the sweets and the other like fruits on the leather. You have seen a very fluffy texture, or so they are called as fungi. Their structure is present at page number 19. Their examples are penicillium, rhizopus, mushroom and yeast. These are the examples of fungi. And nutritions. They do not have chlorophyll, although they look like plants, but they do not have chlorophyll. So they cannot prepare their own food, because if they have chlorophyll they can prepare their own food. So now how they get the food? They are actually the saprophytes. Saprophytes are the organism which get food from the other dead organic matter. So like bread mold, it is present on the bread. So you have seen a hair-like structure growing on the bread if it is placed in the out of the refrigerator, or when it is placed in the open place. So these fungi grow on the bread, and bread will be called as substrate. Their growth and reproduction is by the budding. Budding that they grow means a finger-like projection appear on the body and it changes into a complete cell. On that cell appear the other cells. So in this way they grow. So fungi are useful as well as harmful. So the first, how they are useful, they are used as in the fermentation, and in the process of fermentation alcohol, wine and vinegar is obtained. And Louis Pasteur discovered the process of fermentation in 1857. And next important function or important use of the fungi is that they are used as a antibiotic penicillin. And Alexander Fleming in 1928 he make this antibiotic penicillin. And some of the mushrooms are edible, means we use it as a food. So this mushrooms we can eat mushroom as a food. So this is a great use of mushrooms. And fungi, since the fungi are saprophytic in nature, they help in the decomposition of the plant and animal waste, thus enriching the soil with nutrients. Means they are also increasing the soil fertility. And harmful fungi, they cause different diseases like athlete's foot and different fungus which is appeared, means they can cause the skin diseases. And when the fungi get the moderate temperature and humidity, they spoil the fruits, vegetable and fermentation. So in this way they are harmful, that they can destroy the edible things, and the other is that they can cause different skin diseases into the other human being or like animals. Next is protozoa. The example of the protozoa is amoeba. The habitat of amoeba is the fresh water and marine water, and the structure of the amoeba is present at page number 28. So learn the labeling of amoeba, paramecium and entamoeba. And structure, they do not have a proper shape. And nutrition, they get the nutrition from the other living organism. They eat the other living organism. As they live in water, they eat the other living organisms. And reproduction, they reproduce from 1 into 2 by binary fission. And uses of the protozoans, there are one use of protozoans that they make the zooplankton and they can be the food of the other living organisms. Harmful protozoans, they as entamoeba cause dysentery in the other living organisms. And trypanosoma lives in the bloodstream of the human being and cattle and can cause diseases known as sleeping sickness, means they can cause different diseases. And Plasmodium is the cause of malaria, and it is spread by mosquito. Mosquito actually is not the cause of malaria, they are the vector, and they only spread these Plasmodium from one body to another body. So how we can save ourselves if we get if we caught by the diseases of these microorganisms? These are the vaccinations. Vaccination can save us from the other microorganisms. So you will read this topic from page number 23. Here are some disease causing microorganism in human beings, and these are different diseases. So learn these diseases properly and which pathogens are causing these diseases, mode of transmission, how they spread, and how what are the preventive methods? So you just read tuberculosis, cholera, typhoid, measles, hepatitis, malaria, chickenpox, and polio. These are different diseases. And how next page, page number 24, there is a food preservation. There are some methods of food preservation. How we can preserve the food. These are the methods: dehydration and sun drying, smoking, heating, salt and sugar. How salt can save the edible things, how sugar can save the edible things, oil and vinegars, chemical method, refrigeration, and pasteurization. And at the last, there is a nitrogen cycle and decaying bacteria, nitrifying bacteria, nitrogen fixing bacteria, lightning. These you will have to read because the time of the class is over. So we are just watching that how we can preserve the food by dehydration. When we dehydrate the things, all the water, actually water can spoil the other things. When the water is evaporated, or we can finish the water or dry the things, they can be saved for many days. Smoking, sometimes the things are by the smoking the things are preserved. Sometimes by the heating of the things the food can be preserved. Sometimes the salt and sugar are used, salt in the pickle or salt in the leather goods or like something. This can save, the salt can be used to save the other things. Oil and vinegar can also be used for saving or preserving the food. And next is nitrogen cycle. We have discussed that how nitrogen from the air enter into the soil. Sometimes they just mix with the rainwater and it comes down and they make the nitrate. These nitrates are used by plants, and when the plants are used by the other animals, these nitrogen goes into the other animals. And when the waste product of like dung, in the dung this nitrogen also come out. And when the animals these animals become dead, they are decomposed by the other microorganisms, and this nitrogen goes again into the air. This is a nitrogen cycle. And you will just read and you will understand. So don't miss to learn the MCQs like and the fill in the blanks, like match the column which is present at page number 29, and the diagram which I have told you, and all the assessment especially which is done in the copy. So learn all these questions properly, and I hope that this little review of this chapter will definitely help you to prepare your midterm exams. So take care and Allah Hafiz till the next class.